to that round. So thank you for joining Start Some Goods, a fireside chat with Jacky Lo, the founder of Joy of Giving and the Sydney Toy Swap. Jacky has very kindly given up his time today so we can chat about his journey with Joy of Giving for a few years now. Sydney Toy Swap, which kicked off this year, and seeing what the future looks like. My name is Caitlin. I'm from Start Some Goods. We are trying to make it easier for everyone everywhere to start some good, as the name suggests. So we run a crowdfunding, and we also run a cohort and individual based coaching for social enterprises. In those early stages in ideation through to scaling as well. So we run our fireside chats on a monthly basis. We're here for our October call, but we have November and December already lined up, which is great. Registrations are already open, and you'll receive a link if you'd like to register for those after this call, as well as with the recording details from this chat with Jacky. Before we do get into the chat too, I just want to mention that if you want to hear from Jacky live, we actually also have an event on Thursday this week called Pitch for Good Circular Economy, which is in Sydney. So that is a great opportunity if you are in person in Sydney or local and able to come in. Pitch for Good is Start Some Goods live event model, where essentially whatever you pay to enter, that money is then translated into donations or voting tokens, which you then allocate to the people pitching. So we've got a great lineup of 4 different social enterprise pitchers who you'll be able to vote with. I know I've bought my ticket with 4 votes because I'm very indecisive and I can't choose who I'd like to give my money to. So therefore, that was the obvious choice for me. But tickets are as low as $10 if you'd like to just come in and have the single vote. Food and drinks are completely free and sorted, so your money goes completely through as a donation. So anyway, that's enough about me, and enough of me wasting time at the start as people came into the Zoom room. Very happy to get into the chat with Jacky now. Jacky, I'm sure a lot of people who've registered today know about you and know about your mission, but I'm sure others were just really attracted to the concept and the topic today and don't necessarily know all about you. So if we could just start off with, in your own words, what is Joy of Giving and what's your background and how did you get here?
Okay, thanks, Katie, for having me today, sharing ideas, and hopefully inspiring some of you, if you haven't actually started on this social enterprise entrepreneurship journey. So yeah, a bit of my background. So I'm actually a technologist. So I started working in the technology sector, and I specialize in product design, taking products to the market. Most of them are digital products, and I involved in a lot of startups. I had my own startups, and I also help other startups to bring the ideas to life. So looking back, I think back in about 2019, 2018, this is where I think when I was looking for more like something purposeful. So you get to a point of your life, it's like, okay, you've done enough of work for the corporate, and you're looking for other ideas where you can make a difference to the world. And I think this is where started looking for ideas, and a lot of ideas actually came to me. And then the one that connected me the most is about environment. So this is probably where the inspiration came as a parent, and you see the environment, you see the impact to the next generations, and you ask yourself, okay, with all the skills and experience I had, could I do something different? And that was actually when I look at like, okay, so I have a little one. She was growing up and she had a lot of toys. And not a lot in the sense that in comparison to a lot of kids, but she had quite a decent amount. And then when we actually start understanding, oh, could we actually give the toys away? And then that's actually when it's a reminder to us that, oh, there are lots of things in our life that you actually cannot recycle. And you want to actually see how you can actually be a better world with all the consumptions that we have now and how you can make a difference. So this is where like the idea spark is okay, well, uh, with the toys, since you say 27 million toys go to landfill, and actually we recycle them, you want to reuse them. What else in actually our everyday life is similar to toys? And that's actually where we actually thought, okay, why don't we start with toys and actually inspire the kids to do the right thing and actually how kids can also contribute to the environment. And this is actually how I use my skills and I make a commitment to myself. I say, okay, well, why don't we start an idea, get the kids involved, and then we actually just start with something very small. Was we just start doing toy swap because that's what we found to actually get the kids to connect, to actually get the parents involved. Toy swap was actually quite a simple idea, and we learned a lot of things after we started. Yes, and this is probably, in a nutshell, that was how my background related to toy swap. It started with because of my background in entrepreneurship, my technology background, my business background, and an urge to do something purposeful. Yeah.
That's amazing. And I'm really interested in that stat. You said 27,000 toys. Was that right,
27,
to landfill?
27 million.
Oh, much worse than I thought. Okay, 27 million toys. Is that what was the time frame on that many toys?
So that's actually every year in Australia alone. Uh,
Wow.
and
Okay.
for the kids to understand, we always explain to kids that is equal to 50 toys every minute going to.
Okay. Wow. That's an insane amount and so tricky to get your head around it, especially for kids too, because and that's why it's amazing that you're looking to educate kids from the early age because it's hard for adults who didn't grow up in these concepts and with these ideas around actually, the circular economy piece and looking at how we care for our resources, know, um, throw it away was such a mentality so many of us grew up with and out of sight, out of mind versus being able to teach kids from the start to consider that is so powerful. But also there's such little people and the concept of that many toys would just be hard to comprehend. So yeah, amazing that you're taking these steps and working through that and thinking about how to make that engaging. And so yeah, tell me a bit about the Sydney Toy Swap. This ran for the first time, I believe, this year. And what did that look like in reality versus what your original vision was for the swap?
Yeah, so it actually I think the whole Sydney Toy Swap it was years in building. So because we started running our very first toy swap in 2019, and when we started running, it was as simple as just a few of us with friends who started the idea together, and it was one of those startup idea you start in the market with a table, and then before you knew it, there were like tens of people standing in front of you trying to get involved in the toy swap. And then I guess one led to the other, and then we started running toy swap almost everywhere in Sydney. And we were at, I think in 2000, I mean, I think in 2024, we started running monthly toy swap. So we started going everywhere in cross Sydney, and we also learning that a lot of parents actually even follow us. So we actually see the same parents follow us to different toy swap. And when we actually ask them, it's like, okay, why do you follow us? And they just say, well, it's a it is a very emotional a work for them because what they actually see toy shop as a way that they can get the kids to engage about a sharing idea, like the toys don't go wasted. And for a lot of parents, like they actually see this as a like it's a toy, so a lot of memories that actually like carry with them. So for them, it's like they really want to actually make sure they get involved in getting the toys to another kid, so then sharing the joy. So hence, you actually motivate parents to follow us to go everywhere, and then it became like a monthly activity to just have fun. Kids can get some toys, they can pass on the toys. So we realized there is a big demand to actually do more community events, and to the point we actually realized we can't do them all alone because like we are an organization with all the resources that we have. If we want to actually scale, we need to actually invite more people involved, and this is probably where um, a lot of like if we're talking about startup, I think this is probably where you have to be truthful to your mission, because our mission is all about saving toys from landfill, bringing joy to children, and also educating like the next gen. And so what we've learned is if we actually want to scale this, besides just running a swap here and there, we want as many people running the swap, and we want this to become a movement. So to our to actually fulfill our mission is actually something that we should open to more people. And so then when we were actually talking to our existing council partners, we pitched the idea to them, say, well, why don't we get together and create a city toy swap? I mean, we'll have to I have to be truthfully honest. Like, it's definitely inspired by other similar events like Garage Sale Trail, and then looking at Garage Sale Trail, how successful they have been for many years, and the model is actually getting everyone involved in hosting their own garage sale. And so then we thought, okay, why don't we invite more people to host their own toy swap with our experience and knowledge? We could inspire more people to run it. So hence, this is how it was like many years in learning and planning, and got to the beginning of this year, we launched the Sydney Toy Swap. And it's the very first time in Australia. In fact, I think when we actually look around, uh, we're probably the first one to run a citywide toy swap. And so what we actually put out to work with other partners is, okay, well, let's get together. We have the councils that are already our existing partners. We also have some friends that are in the community, and then we invite them like, why do we get together and run an event? And this is how the Sydney Toy Swap was born. And it was actually wonderful how like a small idea went from just swapping toys into a citywide event. And we're gonna release a impact report soon. But the official number we have is we have over 600 families participated across 8 different locations from Sydney all the way to the Blue Mountains. And in 2 weeks' time, we homed approximately 1.2 tons of toys, which is actually a very significant amount of toys that we homed. And it's actually proven that is as a community, everyone has the power to make a difference. And this is where we so many families came together and actually participated in such a very simple concept, but is getting to show, okay, we can create this as a movement and will become very powerful message to more people. And this is like an event that we want to carry on in the future. So we already planning even Sydney Toy Shop 2026. Yeah, and we have also talked to other organizations who is interested. I think this is where we want to actually inspire more people to come along. So it's not so much about Joy of Giving hosting toy swap events or some other organization who's been already hosting them, but what we want to inspire is anyone who wants to actually give this one a go, and then we can provide all the training and the support, and we can all do it together. And one very successful example this year was we partnered with Stanmore Public School, PNC. So it was actually quite a meaning it was actually a very, very big experience for me because when we talked to the PNC liked the idea of, okay, we want to get involved, we will run our voice swap, and they can run it with the students, the parents, and also the public. And we had meetings with them. We showed them how to run Toy Swap. There were a number of considerations, and they organized their own. I actually personally went to help them, like on one of the evening, to help them to organize all the toys because they had a collection date, and then they collect all the toys. And it was actually quite a wonderful experience. I was there. I think I remember it was one evening we had uh, about 10 parents and about 12 kids in there. And when I walk into the room, it's a room full of toys, and they collected from school, from the parents and students. And then the parents just went and tell the kids, okay, well, all the kids, we have different toys. We have books, we have puzzles, we have soft toys, we have figures, we have plastic toys, we have baby toys. Let's open all the bags, let's open all the boxes, and then we'll start sorting them. And then in a matter of minutes, you got all these like kids just running around, started putting books and toys, and in different corners of the room, and you could actually start seeing them how they learn to, right, okay, well, let's just like do some cleaning, let's do some sorting, and they all got involved. And it was such a wonderful experience that you see the kids wanting to understand what does this mean to them, like what is the sharing mean to them, how they can get involved in circular economy, because of a lot of the circular economy concepts or things that we do, they are very large scale. But this is one of the initiative where kids actually can get active involvement. And at the end of the evening, I was very impressed by how quickly the kids actually went and just organize all the toys. They taped the boxes. They cleaned the toys. They were able to separate some of the like items that are not suitable for other kids, and it was like one evening well worth of everyone's time. And that was actually one of the many experiences that we have seen during the Toy Swap event. And this is actually where I want to actually, uh, I mean, one of the learning is you have any idea, you can always start somewhere being small, and then as you learn, you actually get more people involved. I think people is the key. You want more people to participate. Yeah. And that was actually something that, we're gonna take all this learning and actually going to the Lexi and the Sydney Toy Swap 2026.
Yeah, amazing. And I think, yeah, that sounds like a huge success. And thank you for sharing that anecdote about, that specific event. I think that it's really lovely to hear that it was such a warm community event as much as it is about, in some respects about the outcomes, how many toys, how many times, but be able to have that emotional side as well is, yeah, really special. And I think that the emotional side, I mean, I'd love to get your take on this, but I would assume that the emotional side that comes with toys and childhood memories means that people are trying to swap high quality toys that, I know kids aren't always the gentlest with some of our toys, weird Barbies out there that have got texture all over their face or, different toys that are broken apart in little fights. But I guess it's especially with the parents who've got that memory too. Do you find that people are giving toys that they cherish so they want someone else to enjoy and it takes the burden off you? Or do you find that you still need to do a bit of a almost quality check on the toys that are provided?
So I think the few pillars here. The first pillar is like most of the parents, like I said, they feel emotionally connected to the toys. They don't want the toys to be wasted, so they would try to do the right thing, even though it happens a lot of time we see toys that may be in a less ideal situation, but parents still really want to give it the last try. And this is where our work is involved. It's like, okay, we have to explain why certain toys cannot actually be reused, even though with all the good intentions, we just cannot do it, unfortunately. And that might actually lead to something about the better product design in the future. It's like, and the toys be designed better and last longer, so then you won't have this situation. Then the other thing is more about this. The other pillar is, like you said, like the quality control and all that. So one thing we learned during toy swap is as parents come back to the toy swap, maybe the first time they come, they didn't quite understand anything. But as they come back to more toy swap, they know what kind of expectation other parents have, and then what preparation they need to do. So that's one of the wonderful thing I mean, a good story is when we ran some toy swap in Rangrick, you saw one parent actually got a box of toys, and then when they show it to us, it tip over. It's like pieces just on the table everywhere. And then you actually show them, well, we can't give pieces of toys to people, but we can package them and actually sort them and actually like share with other kids. So we actually did that with them, and then they learn that, okay, this is how it is done, and actually they see the result immediately, because as you show them in front of them and other parents, like they see, okay, this is actually something that looks uh, like really useful for other parents and other kids. And so then what they did was they came back the next time. They even very proudly like told us, okay, this time we've done the work. Everything is all packed, sorted, nicely packaged. They look like a package store is ready to go. And when you have that kind of interaction, you actually felt like, I mean, I felt 100% that, okay, this is a piece of very important education we've done. And this is actually something that is like so powerful that you without these interactions, people might never know like why some of the work is done and why this is a hard work for some of the volunteers. Like, and this is probably where you can take a bit of burden off if you actually can show to people, right? This is not a work by someone, but everyone has a role in this. And so then this is actually a very inviting exercise. And the other pillar is more about the sharing part. So a lot of the time we see kids when they share the toys, the happiness doesn't actually come from getting a toy. The happiness actually came from when they saw another kid took the toy away, when they saw another kid that actually like was very happy playing with their toy. They felt the connection, and actually they felt happier than themselves getting a toy. And we've seen it a number of times, and we also see many times when another kid walk up to us, say, how does this toy work? And I just say, well, the original kid is still around the corner. And then they just started like talking how to run, how to use the toy. And these are the probably the three areas that we have witnessed. And this is why I think like how the connections and emotional community, everything just blend together and make it so wonderful experience for everyone.
Yeah, that's amazing. I should note again, if anyone has any questions, please put it into the chat because I could have questions for days for Jackie, and I don't want to hog the questions. So please add anything you'd like um to the chat. Jackie, I know the answer to this, but I think it's an important one for others to know about too. Is with the swapping, you don't have a tiered swap based on monetary value of the toys at all, do you? You have it open that you could provide a $80 toy and then your child could take a $20 toy or vice versa. Is that correct?
That's correct. And the reason is because toys, they there's an actual gender, oh, not gender, sorry, it's an age gap. So what happened is, unlike some of the items like clothing, the kids who pass on the toys, the older, especially the older kids, might not necessarily have the exact match. So then you like the example is like 8 years old kid when they pass on their toy, it probably wonderfully received by a 3 years old or like a 5 years old kid. But then a 5 years old like kids' toys probably doesn't go to an 8 years old, but it actually goes to a 3 years old. So you have this cascading relationship that actually keep passing on the toys. Where the clothing is a bit different, like you can have a like a 38 or like years old person passing on the shirt to another person might be even 25 years old, and that actually this actually can easily match. But toys a bit different in that regard, and also we have seen time after time that even you have the best looking toy in the room, like a wonderful set of Lego sitting on the table, some kid would walk straight past it and go and grab like a little toy car, like a Hot Wheels, and because that's
Mm.
what connect to them. If you the kids is the person who go and choose what they want, usually they find things that connected to them. They look beyond the value, the financial, I guess, the dollar figures. They look for things that they love.
Yeah, that's really great. And yeah, I know how many countless times I've bought for my nephew a really nice, borderline expensive toy, and he just wants the cardboard box that it comes in. So I think that we should probably take a note out of kids' books and how they value things and appreciate resources um, in all their ways. We've got some questions in the chat here. Piers has said it's such a great concept and executed with a real understanding. How do you find hosts in other areas to run the swap events?
Uh, At the moment, the way we find hosts is I mean the two approaches. One is if we host it our own, like we go and approach local community and councils and see if they interested in partnership. And the other way we've been doing is we've been just doing a organic reach out to or other organization who have interest in running. Yep. And school is probably one other channel is with school because we started running education workshop with school, and this is actually to expand and extend our concept beyond just toy swap, but actually bringing the education to classroom. And when we actually bring the workshop to school, usually you inspire the school and the PNC to actually host their own toy swap as well. So this is always about education, and the education will travel to many more opportunities.
Thanks, Jackie. And then Sophie's asked, do you find any other interesting challenges along the way that you had to learn from or mitigate, other than quality control and some of the other challenges you've already addressed?
So as a social enterprise, the truthful, I mean, to speak very truthfully, the one of the biggest challenges is definitely funding. So the work that we do as a social enterprise, um, there is, I think one thing I think to actually go back to what I said earlier, um, our 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 infrastructure for reuse or recycling is very large scale. There's a lot of subjects that hasn't been um, I guess taken care of. Like toys is one of the things, but there's so many things in our life, like household items and anything, many more things. And this is probably where it give, I mean, most of the social enterprises when they come to existence is because to address a gap in the society. And one of the things that we're addressing is about reuse and about children resources and also the education. So obviously this is the gap that we identify, and to do all the work, definitely resources and funding will be the biggest challenge. And we have been able to earn a lot of, we have been able to um, earn the funding through services, but there isn't actually like a recognized area of address in the circular economic space that provides funding to do the work. That's not just for joy of giving, but many more organization in the circular economy space face a similar challenge is, okay, where can we find a funding? And even when we say funding, we're not an organization that solely rely on like a funding subsidies, but we want to just find a like a seed funding to actually help us to grow. I think this is probably where the biggest challenge is. And this is where we want to actually address this problem in the Sydney Toy Swap 2026, and hopefully we will find some funding to help us to bring this program to more places, because ultimately we want this to be just beyond. We want this to be beyond Sydney. We want this to be a nationwide toy swap, and then we want to bring this knowledge to everywhere. But without a funding, this will become a bit of a big challenge for us.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point, and it's a challenge that so many community-oriented organizations and social enterprises do um, struggle with, because so much work is done pro bono and on a volunteer basis to get it started, which is fantastic. But it's important that those volunteers and yeah, workers get paid and can pay their bills and eat and all of these important things, unfortunately. Um, yeah, do need to consider those finances behind it. But I think that, yeah, it'll be an exciting journey to be able to get some seed funding, because I think that particularly if you can get some brands or some corporates involved to align with this mission, I can imagine that that will bring more than just the financial support too, and just that exposure and that alignment with them will be fantastic too. So fingers crossed that you get that to be able to run 2026 to the level that you're looking at it. Leah's asked, she said, can you give an example of the sort of toys that cannot be reused? And great point, Leah. You've said that these lists could be useful for someone like me, who's looking to always buy for the little people in my life.
Okay, so there are two aspects about toys that cannot be reused. One aspect is about uh, the fast fashion toys. So this is not just about fast fashion clothing, but fast fashion toys. There are toys that are uh, it, that actually designed to be used only once or short term. Yep. So unfortunately, is the reality. And they like a good example I can give is slimes. So if you have slimes, like kids love slime because they like that like emotional connections, and this ASMR, like you can talk to kids like all day long about this whole sensory feeling about like slime. But slime is one of those toys that they make of plastic, and they can't be recycled, of course, but they can't be reused as well. And you sometimes occasionally get a tub of slime that go into toy swap, and then when we look at them, we politely return them straight away. It's like you just can't do it because like, you don't know what's inside the slime. And that also brings me to the safety and hygienic problem. So any toys that might have a concern of safety and hygiene reasons, they can't be reused. So then a lot of toys, water-based toys, like toys that you bring to water play, some of them are probably not ideal. And also, this is probably where the plastic discussions can come in, is you have toys that deteriorate over time, and and then when you see the quality of the plastic goes downhill, you start feeling all kind of problems. They could be very fragile, could be very sticky. There's all kind of problem with plastic toys that you cannot be reused. And unfortunately, the only way for those to actually manage those toys is probably disposal. There doesn't seem to be any other way. And in Australia, 99% of toys can't be recycled. So it's either we use or landfill. And to answer those questions, I think it's more about the fast fashion you want to avoid, and also avoid toys that might have safety concern and hygienic concern. Yeah.
So many considerations to have. No, thank you for clarifying that one. Christina has asked, well, I'll read her whole message, but she said, great presentation. She said, I have the impression that toy swaps that more where to more toys come in than get rehomed at the events. You'd have an excess of toys left over. Like a lot of toys in the world at the moment. Absolutely. Can you tell us about the amount of toys that tend to stay with you after each toy swap and what their pathway is?
So when we run the toy swap, we do we I mean the toys have, okay, let's just say this. The amount of toys going to toy swap usually range about between anything 100 kilo to a couple hundred kilos. So in each event, usually in most scenario, we have about 10 to 20% left with us, which is not like, to be really like, if to put things in perspective, it's not like a huge number, because it means 80% of the items like get exchanged at the events. So some we have definitely been very fortunate at some of the event we probably have one box left. But most of the time it's about 10 to 20%, which is not huge amount. And this is actually where we get to we organize the toys, we furbish the toys, and actually share with other charity and other kids. And this is where our like part of our mission is about rescuing toys and bringing joy to other children. So that actually fulfill the second part. And also we would bring the toys to other toy swap as well. So which means you can always swap toys with people from all around your community.
Yeah, great. It'd be interesting to see if you've got toys. Do you have many toys that are swapped multiple times? Have you got some frequent flyers at your library where multiple kids take them home and bring them back at all?
We have a couple of dragons. In fact, they're talking about it. This is actually wonderful. We definitely have seen it. So we couple of dragons at the Crow's Nest House that we have seen it going out and coming back. And also I remember, this is probably one thing that a lot of people don't realize, is at one of the toy swap, we we have parents who brought in a tent, and then when they brought in a tent, they were in pieces. They're not like a tent. So they brought in a bag, and then we said, "What is it?" It's like, "It's a tent." And then we said to the parents, like, "Why don't you set up the tents, and then people can see what it's like, because this is part of the whole emotional connections, and this is probably where a lot of people don't realize how powerful the emotional side of things is." And then as soon as the tent was set up, in a matter of minutes, the tent was gone. Like another parent just came and took it away. And what's interesting though was a couple of months later, the same tent came back. And we recognized the tent because it was very distinctive. Like we just said, okay, well, the same tent came back. And then we asked the parents and say, well, could you set it up like the need? And the second parent just, okay, we'll do the same. They set it up. They at the corner, again, in no time, that tent was like taken. So you definitely see things coming back. And that was actually, to us, it was the true circularity, because you really see people taking things away and they actually bring it back when they finish. So then if without the comeback loop, then you might not look like a complete circularity, but now it becomes a full circle. We actually see things going back and going out. And this is where we also tell parents, like some parents actually came to toys of feeling guilty, say, I don't have any toys with me. Could we still join the toy swap? And the message was very clear, say, you can always join the toy swap even you don't have toys. The idea is you take toys away today. When you finish, you bring it back to another toy swap. So then you still fulfill the whole toy swap concept. So they don't have to feel guilty about just taking things and not bringing things in.
Yeah, interesting. And I think that so often in the reuse space, a lot of times people are really happy to just donate. So if anything, it's probably nice to have people that just start without adding to the supply and just take. And that's so interesting to hear the stories of dragons and tents, arguably some of the more timeless toys, and equipment that kids love. So great to hear that you've got those. I do recall seeing, I think probably both, definitely the dragons when I visited you in at your hub. We have a question from Jen here. Jen's asked, have you approached any toy manufacturers or similar for potential partnerships or sponsorships, particularly the ones that have an environmental aspect? Jen notes that waters could get a little murky here with competing interests. So,
Um, the truth is we have, and the discussion was actually to flow as well when we approach manufacturer. One of the key discussions we had with them was more about our concerns about the toys and the impact to the environment. So we, as an organizations, we actually do it as an advocacy to actually talk to manufacturer. It hasn't been simple. This is probably the truth. We've had a number of attempts and we've only successfully talked to one or two, I think, like of them. And in terms of sponsorship, um, there was definitely discussions about it, but the truth was we've been actually trying to find a partners that actually share the same mission with us because like ultimately we want to find a like-minded manufacturer that actually have share the similar commitment with us. So it's actually a bit of a journey for us. And also one of the things where the I think the textile industry has been campaigning for this for a long time. So hence I think there is upcoming or even idea of legislation to have the textile manufacturer to become responsible for what they produce and having levy, having all kind of I guess like commitment to do things where toy industry is still very much behind. I mean, it's not a small industry. In Australia, the number is in the billion amount market. It's definitely like in a $1 billion amount. But there isn't anything to hold them accountable for the environment at this stage. So there isn't a very strong incentive for any of the toy manufacturer to sponsor or even work in an initiative as such. So I think this is not Australia alone. It's like globally, toy industry isn't known for its very green commitment. Unfortunately, there are definitely like toy manufacturer who have do the right thing. We have even with I know even some of the toy shops in Sydney, you would actually see they are doing responsible things. They source responsibly. You see they actually even focus on not just the toy itself, but packaging as well, because like something that we rarely talk about is like a Barbie doll, for example. The package for the Barbie doll, its weight is about one-third of the size of the Barbie, and like you actually see there's a lot of like packaging waste involved. So then you actually see some of the toy manufacturer, they're very well aware of this. They actually, you could see in their product design, they even work quite heavily on the packaging to make it less impact on the environment. But to these days, it's still a discussions and ongoing discussions with toy manufacturer and see if there's any interest in sponsoring the initiative and actually getting involved. And I think this is going to be uh, require a bigger movement to actually get them to be accountable for some of the decision they make and some of the product design. I think is a big thing. Is like, can they make the product to be more sustainable?
yeah, I think that segues really well into what my next question was going to be, and I like a really important point that so many of the large manufacturers are representing a huge footprint and they're nationally focused, so they do want to align with nationally or large far-reaching movements. So I think that's a really important point and a really tricky piece of scaling a social enterprise is that you need the capital in order to scale, but in order to scale, anyway. Um, so I guess my next question was going to be to you, Jacky. What's your vision for 2026? what does that look like expansion wise compared to the 2025 swap? Are you looking to go to different locations or I guess increase the quantity of swaps in the same destination?
Yep. So the 2026, I think, the focus will be more on community involvement. So in 2025, I think we showcase to people that okay, is something that everyone can get involved. It can become a movement where actually more people will participate. And this is where we want to use our knowledge to invite more community partners to come on board. So the very good example is also like in Blue Mountains, where the Parent for Climates and the local group, they got together and been hosting the toy and clothes swap in Blue Mountains for many years. And this is one of the, and yet another very simple idea, like how a few people got together, they want to do something for the environment, and this is one of the way they can get involved. And we want to actually inspire more people along. We have, since we launched the Sydney Toy Swap, we have had inquiries coming and asking us how they can host their own. And we actually, we're very happy to provide free workshop to explain to people, okay, well, this is actually what's required to do it. And so so you can actually, while we say that the Toy Swap 2026 will come and we will invite more people to come along, but as I just like Joy of Giving, I would always open the invite to anyone anytime, because you might take one or two very simple event. The event might actually be just a few people coming along, or maybe some small one within a preschool or like a school, to actually spark like a bigger event. So one always lead to the other. So so what our work is from now to the next event is to actually inspire more people to sign up, host one event now, give it a go, and actually even get some volunteer support, because without a strong volunteer support, it will become a very tough work for most people. So one thing so this is probably where the focus of City Toys of 2026 is getting more community awareness, more people wanting to get involved, and we will show them how we can actually get it to run together. And when I say community, it doesn't have to be school, even hosting your own mini garage sale. That's actually like one of the way to do toy swap, because you could have your kids invite a few neighbors together and just in your front yard, and or even in the lobby of your building, and run a mini toy swap with among your friends. That is actually something we all can do, and it's probably happening already, but it's just something that we probably don't acknowledge the community effort.
Yeah, I really love that approach that you're taking, that it's you don't need to wait until next year to come forward, or it's not just a once a year thing, that this needs to become a regular activity within our communities and across communities. So that's fantastic. I'm really keen to, again, if anyone has any final questions, we probably have time for one or two, so feel free to add those to the chat. If not, no worries, I have plenty myself. But Jackie, I thought, oh, Jane has a question. I can
Uh,
pass through. Are you there?
Apologies for my lateness as well. But
Okay.
this is already what I've just heard is fantastic, Jackie. And yeah, I love the whole idea of community getting involved. That's such a great idea. Got some thoughts going on. I guess my question is, do you, and I apologize if I'm putting you on the spot, but the the percentage of toy manufacture that happens in Australia versus imports, and apologies if you covered this already. Yeah, I'm just kind of curious about how much of the toys that are here do we actually manufacture in Australia?
Sorry, the, I couldn't quite hear the last bit. Did you mean how many toys they manufacture in Australia?
Yes, please. Yeah, yeah. Just
I don't have the official number, but
Mhm.
to my knowledge, most of the toys are actually made overseas. We have one or two very big toy manufacturing in Australia.
Mhm.
But even the manufacturing in Australia, they don't manufacture toys locally. They manufacture them overseas. And this is probably where um, the good discussions about the whole carbon footprint, like where that when by the time the toy lands at the store, that's already so much carbon footprint coming in. And this is probably ways if we want to explain to children, it's like, can we explain to children that one of the reasons you don't keep buying new toys is because the amount of carbon footprint generated for the whole journey of the toys coming to Australia is already massive. And then if you actually can reduce your consumptions, like reduce buying new toys or buy responsibly, that could actually already help our emission. Uh, and I don't, yeah, that will be my understanding to this point. But yes, almost most of the toys in Australia that we see are imported from overseas.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Thank you. Thanks, Jacky.
I think that's a great question, Jane, and a great thing to call out that we could definitely use some more Australian manufacturers, particularly when we're looking to. There's a bit of a push for recycled content
Mm,
manufacturing in Australia. There's so many toys that are mixed materials, but there are so many others that could quite easily be made out of recycled plastic or
yeah.
recycled
And
materials.
there could be some really cool campaigns. I'm just imagining, big boatloads of toys and airplanes of toys landing in Australia, and yeah. So yeah, interesting. Thank you.
No worries. Christina, you've got a comment in here, and feel free to come off mute if you have anything else to add to it. You've said one of the things you love about this is that lots of kids are quite anxious about what's happening in the environment, but completely disempowered to do something about it because they're little. But asking to be a part of the toy swap is something they can do and initiate. I think that's a really great point, Christina, and a really nice sentiment to wrap us up on here. Jacky, have you got any links, any suggestions? Where are people best to reach out to you via? And do you have a minimum age for a volunteer or a host of a toy swap?
So the best way to come to us is come to the joyofgiving.net website or toyswap.com.au. Like I said, we we're looking for people to host a toy swap and also workshop all year round. You don't have to wait until a certain time of the year. And In terms of volunteers, so we will have some community volunteer sections in Crow's Nest, and that will actually be open to children's and parents because that's where there will be like more workshop coming up, and this is where kids can get involved and can become a volunteer to make a difference.
Great, thank you. I've just put both of those links into the chat there, and I will once again put in a link in case anyone is Sydney based and wants to come and hear Jacky live at our Pitch for Good event this week. Feel free to register. We'd love to see you there. Jacky, do you have any final points that we didn't cover? I lost track of all of my prepared questions. I'd
Uh,
love to hear, is there any key takeaways or anything else you'd like to cover as part of this fireside chat?
I think part of the key message I want to bring out is more about like to bring it in line with start some good is you if you have if you actually want to make a difference in the society, if you want to start your own social enterprise, it doesn't have to be something big. It can be a small initiative that you start with, an idea that you have an urge inside you that you want to give it a go. And what I would say is give it a go and actually like start something in your community, try out the idea because as you try out the idea, that's when you will actually hear feedback when you actually bring other people on board as well. And to one of the learning I have throughout all these years is people are probably the most important asset and resources to any social enterprises. because like without the people power, you will struggle to bring your idea to life, and don't feel that you have to hold on to an idea to yourself. The more people to listen to your idea, the more you share out the idea, the bigger the power you will gain, and more people will follow you. And this is where your idea will more likely to succeed. And this is probably like something that I hope that we can always inspire to people to actually start their own idea, not just about something that Joy of Giving has started about toys, about the environment, but I'm sure a lot of people have their own idea inside them that they want to give it a go. And it's wonderful to use this fireside chat to share like how one of the idea that we started and is turned into a lot more things that we feel proud of, that we want to share with people. And I'm sure in the future there will be more people that bring their idea to life, and they can share their journey, how a small idea can bring into and lead to something like impactful and a scale.
That's great. Thank you so much, Jacky, for wrapping us up there. That sounds like the perfect way to finish up the conversation. Thank you, everyone, for joining along for the session today. We will share the recording with you in the coming days, and let you know where to find it. It'll be in our resource library on the Start Some Good website, where you can find all of our other webinars and fireside chats recordings there. Lovely to spend our Tuesday midday lunch with you. And we'll hopefully see you at our next fireside chat in November. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
See ya. Thank you, Jacky. Thank you, Caitlin.